Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Jumwemwe Upile Vluminde, and I film about faith, mental health, entrepreneurship, relationships, beauty, and lifestyle in general. And like I said last week, we'll be continuing with VIESON, where we'll talk more about entrepreneurship. Welcome again, sir.
Thank you.
And before I go there, there was a certain controversial thing about Range Rover on social media. Would you love to talk about it?
Well, not that I would love to talk about it, but it's not as if I have a choice, do I?
Okay, let's start with that. Please clarify to us what happened. And I would love to know myself. I would really want to know.
You want to know?
Yeah, it was really like, there was a lot of things happening on social media. VIESON this, Kondwani that, you know? Yeah.
Well, the gist of that is that I owned a particular Range Rover for quite a while. That in the course of time I thought of, let me say, getting rid of it. So I put it up for sale, and a certain gentleman bought it. You see. Later on, I was elated. I think two months down the line, I was elated by friends on social media that the gentleman that had bought the Range Rover from me claimed on social media that I was a fraud and some other nasty things that were in the media. But the gist of the matter is that I sold the Range Rover to him, and for reasons best known to him, he wrote what he wrote. Which for me I thought was quite unfortunate. Very beneath him, because he's somebody that I respected. I don't do business with people I don't respect. So if I did business with him, he's somebody that I respect. But some people don't live up to the expectation. It's one of those things that you learn in life. But yeah, life goes on.
Yeah, it does.
Sure, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. And for whosoever wants to know more, you'll find him. But I think that's all, and I will not comment anything, but I think we will all love to hear more about that. So, VIESON, as an entrepreneur now, tell us, what is entrepreneur to you? In your own words, or in however way, what is entrepreneurship to you?
Good question. Entrepreneurship for me is simply solving a problem at a price. You see, wherever you find anybody that is solving a problem and they're getting paid for it or they're charging for it, that's an entrepreneur. So you have the plumber, if you have a sink that is leaking at your house, and you call somebody and he comes and he repairs the sink for you, and he charges you whatever amount he charges. That's entrepreneurship. He's solving a problem at a particular price. The only difference is the levels at which people solve problems. So then that can lead us now to people that are solving problems as self-employed persons. Others are solving the problems as business persons or business entities, and others are solving the problems as investors. But that's entrepreneurship.
Amazing. I think I just got one part. Solving a problem at a price. I think that's all I can say from there. So I understand you're an entrepreneur. From our first video, you talked about what you do and all that. When did you know that, me, I shouldn't bother myself with a lot of things? I know I'm an entrepreneur. I am a business person. When did that come to a realization to you? When?
I would say back in high school, because one of the experiences that I had when I got saved, a friend of mine brought a small book to me. It's a very thin book. It's called As a Man Thinketh. As a Man Thinketh in His Heart So Easy. The author is James Allen. It's a wonderful book, phenomenal. It opened me up to the possibilities that are available when you can think beyond your present circumstances. It taught me how to use my mind to imagine things that are not there. So I would say it's not something that happened at once. it's a process. I became an entrepreneur gradually through exposure, because I'm a reader. And so through reading, it began with reading fictional books. And then I graduated more into reading personal development books. So whatever there's success, whatever there's a successful person, I want to read more about them. So because I read more about business persons, automatically I graduated and I gravitated towards business. So by the time I was leaving university, I pretty much knew that I wanted to start a business at any cost. So the same year that I left university, I started working, but that was also the same year I started my business officially. So my first business was a grocery store in Bayani, Chemusa.
Yes.
Just a small store, the size of your living room window. But that taught me certain lessons about business. Didn't last long, about 6 months, and then I moved on to another business. I started about 3 businesses. Until now, we moved into Greenfield Daily Farm. That was the first successful business, I would say, last year. And then we moved into Landmark. So entrepreneurship is a process.
Amazing. Entrepreneurship is a process. So I would actually I would love to know about disciplines of what one can do as an entrepreneur to discipline yourself to have a successful business or to be a successful entrepreneur. I think you have been really disciplined. The way you're explaining your business is, my God. Okay, I don't know your age, but looking at you and trying to think of how old you are, I think you have done much. You have outdone yourself. So what disciplines did you observe in this journey?
It's a number of things, okay? But if I were to point my finger at one thing that has helped me quite a lot, and it's also the advice that I give to every young person who asks me that they want to be successful in life. I would say that identify people in your field of passion, in any field that you're passionate in. Identify people that are excellent, that you would want to be like in the next 20 years. And then pattern your life after them. Basically copy everything they are doing. It's a copy and paste. So whether you want to be a managing director of a bank, identify the managing director now who is running a bank and pattern your life after them. You will find that gradually you move into their role. So what has helped me is I've been able to not just identify role models, but also to follow after their patterns. You see, I've been an ardent follower of Mr. Makatsonga. He's somebody that I haven't met face to face, but he's somebody whose story I followed very closely. What got me into cars is his story. How he started AXA Bus Company, how he started one business after another, and despite his failures, he's been resilient. So when you read the lives of successful people, you learn what was their motivation, you learn what gave them strength, you learn what they did right and what they did wrong. So it gives you foresight. You don't have to make the mistakes they made. You see, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. It makes you wiser than your age. So in terms of disciplines, I would say it's so many disciplines, but to save time, I would say to everybody watching us who wants to be a business person, identify a business person who's successful in your locality, in your nation, or in any field you're in. Pattern your life after that.
Amazing. Like I said, I don't know anything. VIESON is saying anything that I don't even know. But yeah, I'm learning as you're learning. And I think there was a time you came at Chancellor College, you were teaching about entrepreneurship and you talked about savings. And I remember I started doing that. It was, you mentioned about this example of how Jews save money. Yes. Do you still follow that?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Please tell the people what you taught that time about how Jews save money. Trust me. You remember, I love to say about these things on my WhatsApp status. I once said this, and this is the man who taught me that. Since then, I've been trying to be a good entrepreneur through savings, like a Jew. So please tell.
You see, it's a phenomenon. Have you ever asked yourself why there is no community in the world, any Jewish community in the world, nowhere, that is poor?
You're right.
You will never find a Jewish community go to Europe, Asia, in Africa. You will never find a Jewish community that is poor.
Yeah.
It's not by accident. That doesn't happen by accident. It happens by building a culture of excellence. And so there are certain elements that are built into the Jewish culture that have made them sustainable and successful in any field they're in. It's built into the psychology of a Jewish child that there are certain other things to do with money apart from spending. You see, because the first thing they are taught is you give it back to God. You acknowledge God as the blesser in your life. And part of it is you serve it, and part of it is you invest it. The only problem now in this part of the world, especially in Malawi, is that we're only taught there is one thing to do with money, and that is to spend it. And so what do? The first time you get your first paycheck, you're just out of college, just out of school, get your first paycheck, you send to VIESON.
Preach to the choir.
That doesn't happen by accident. It's been built into our minds.
Yeah.
So one of the hardest things that happened for me was when God began to teach me about saving. I spent a whole year, and at the end of the year, I had qualms with God. I said, I've done everything right. I've been tithing, I've been giving. How come you haven't blessed me? You see, so I set aside some time to pray. He said, I have blessed you. I said, you haven't blessed me. I said, I have blessed you. So I talked to God just like a father, just like you talk to a person. So he said to me, pick a piece of paper and pen. So I took a notepad and a pen. He said, I want you to write down the amount of money, every payment that you received for the whole year. So I sat down, took me a bit of a while, and I wrote it down. And he said, what's the total? So it was running into millions. Then he asked me a question. He said, how much of that is in your bank account now? I was at zero, nil, nada. He said, your problem then, my son, is not receiving money. Your problem is containing it. Your problem is not me blessing you. Your problem is management, the management of money. So that sparked now my passion to understand what it is to manage money. There is a course now that we teach in our seminars called Personal Financial Management. You'd be surprised that a lot of people have gone to accounting, have done accounting up to charter level. They're chartered accountants. They can manage the finances of huge corporations, Airtel, National Bank, name them. Some are specialists in economics. They can manage the economics of a nation, but they have never been taught how to manage their personal finances. No wonder we're broke. You see. So it's not how much money you earn that makes you rich. It's how much you save that makes you rich.
I am a suspect, so I want to say anything right there. I'm a suspect. So, VIESON, tell us about you have talked about a lot of businesses that you run, and still you're working for someone. So
Yes.
how do you manage your time? How do you organize your time to make sure everything is okay? And I think on that we just add on how your day is, like from Monday to Sunday, your typical day.
Oh, my
we
day
get
is very boring.
Yeah, okay. You can start with the day, and we'll talk about the organizing. You organizing your time. You managing your time.
I would say my life revolves around three things basically. That's work, business, and church. So if I'm not working, I'm doing business. If I'm not doing business, I'm doing church. It revolves around those three things. And I've structured my life in such a way so that if I'm not doing anything related to work, I'm doing something related to business. If it's not that, it's related to God. One of the passions that I developed and it is to see how best I could utilize my potential. One of my life's long passions is the understanding of human potential. One of my most foremost mentors is Miles Monroe. And he was very adamant in terms of actualizing the potential that is within a person. We come with enormous potentials placed within us. A human being is the only animal that has the capacity to change. No dogs have that. If a tree doesn't like where it's been planted, it cannot move. If it doesn't like Malawi, it doesn't have the ability to move to Australia. a human being has.
Oh.
You see, so human beings have enormous potential. So one of my passions was to understand what potentials did God give me, and to what extent could I utilize them. So it was that understanding back then. So you understand how I manage my time. I will sort of draw you back to the time when I was in university. I was studying for my bachelor's degree at Chancellor College, but because I understood that I had more potentials than I was utilizing, I saw that within a week I could read for my bachelor's degree, but I had a whole weekend that was dormant and open. So I decided, why don't I invest my weekend to study another course? So I was Chancellor College, I was studying my bachelor's degree, and then I enrolled for a marketing course. So Monday to Friday, I was at Chancellor College. Friday evening or Saturday morning, early in the morning, I would travel to Blantyre and attend marketing courses. And at the same time, I enrolled for an insurance course. So I did these three things at the same time. And my idea was, I have so much free time, I need to find something to put my time to use. So because I built that into me, that I could multitask. Now when I started working, I felt work is only 7 a.m. to 5 p.m.
That's a lot.
After 5 p.m., there is literally nothing you're doing, unless you're binge watching. You're watching Empire or so many other channels that people watch, series that people watch. I say, there's something I can do with this. So I began to read about business. How do I grow my business? How do I start a business? So for me, it's not as difficult as people seem to make it. But also it's about learning how other people do it. Because you need systems in place, you need the right people in place. So while I'm in my office, I have people at my business that I've hired, that are doing the marketing for me, that are doing the HR for me, that are doing the operations for me. So that if my truck has broken down in Chihuahua, there's somebody I can simply call and say, can you attend to that? So it's part of learning how to manage people, how to manage the different aspects of a business. Yeah.
Amazing. So you mentioned about you doing school marketing insurance, whilst you were doing the bachelor's. Were you paying for yourself?
Pardon?
Were you paying for yourself?
Oh yeah.
The barbecue business or?
Part of it was the business that I was doing, but part of it also was when I was getting started for a good 6 months or so, my mother was still alive. So I was blessed by God to have a mother who absolutely believed in me. She believed in me to the extent that if I told her I'm going to stress, she wouldn't have doubted it. That's how much faith she had in me. So when I told her, I think I've got the capacity to study an extra course, she supported me and she gave me the first, I would say it was 150,000 around that, to pay for the enrollment for the first courses. But then mid-course, I think 3-4 months down the line, she passed away. So it was now the money that she had left with us, because we were 3 kids now, that I had to decide, do I invest in clothes, do I buy clothes, do I do etc. So I took part of the money that I had, I invested it in books. I bought an expand for books then. I remember I was 18, 19 around that. And the rest I paid for my marketing course, up to I think it was a diploma. Afterwards I didn't know where the next money was going. But all I knew was I needed to learn, and I needed to learn fast. So that if the money was running out, I should be able to get hired somebody, by somebody to keep me going. So it's nobody will give you things for free. You have to make life out of yourself.
Very, very powerful. Alright, so VIESON, I would love to know the part where would you say entrepreneurship has affected your life somehow? Maybe negatively or positively. Where would you say entrepreneurship or whatever you do has affected your life?
First and foremost, before people like to think of entrepreneurship as external to them, but entrepreneurship is a lifestyle. Okay, so you cannot be an entrepreneur without that affecting you. You see, there is a certain lifestyle you live because you are running a business. Okay, there are certain places you have to be because you're running a business. There are certain books that I read because I'm running a business. I have to read the newspaper every day. It's no longer optional for me. I have to read the newspaper every day, particularly the business section, to see what's happening with the economy, to see what is the interest rate now, what is the policy, monetary policy Reserve Bank is setting now, what is the inflation, just to be able to have an insight into the trajectory of the business. So there is a way you dress when you're an entrepreneur. There's a way you speak when you're an entrepreneur. Now I can get calls. If you're simply doing web, it ends at 5. But as a business person, I get calls 10 p.m. at night. One of my drivers can call me, have a breakdown where they're at. You see, so whatever plan I had is down the drain. We have to plan now for the rescue mission. So entrepreneurship is 24 hours. You're a business person 24 hours. So I wouldn't say it's easy, which is why very few people can do it and very few people succeed. So you have to be lady to do a revolution, to turn your life inside out if you're going for business. It's a step ahead for you. At work, you can avoid handling certain issues. You can say, oh, I'm only a salesperson. You can say, oh, if fail, I only do this, but I'm only a receptionist. If the client has a problem, I got money down. You can avoid certain responsibilities at work. You can say, this is my job description. If you're a business person, especially if you're a founder, everything starts and ends with you. If it's month end and you have bills to pay, you have to pay your rentals, you have to pay your employees, and there is no money in the bank, you can't say, oh, the MD will sort it out. You can't say, oh, I accountant. You have to find a way to get the money. You have to solve the problem.
Yeah.
So entrepreneurship is essentially problem solving. That's what it is. You are facing problems from morning to evening. You are solving problems, and you have to figure out how to solve them. You can't say, oh, somebody else will solve it. Your business has run out of funds. You have to find a way to get the funds. How do you convince somebody to give you $1 million?
Yes.
You see? But you grow from that. That's where the excitement comes. How to approach a problem you've never done before. I had never raised 10 million before. But now I know how I can approach somebody, sit down with them and convince them to say, give us your 10 million. After 3-4 months, this will be your return. That's the challenge.
Oh, wow. Entrepreneurship is a lifestyle. Oh, wow. VIESON, you have a lot. It's just too loaded, right? Yeah, so I would love to know, how do you generate your business ideas? And from there, tell us what motivates you.
Idea generation. Idea generation is like what one of my lecturers taught me. It was in a literature class, what was known as creative writing, where they teach you how to become a story writer. And what he taught us then, of course, it was about writers being a creative writer, works for an entrepreneur. He said, if you're going to be a creative writer, have you ever figured out how these people that write novels come up with ideas? If you're a writer, full-time writer, everywhere you're going, you're moving with a notebook, because you don't know when the idea can hit you. Right? Everything is an inspiration. The way somebody walks on the road can be an idea for a short story. What you see, anything you see in the market can be the inspiration. So you move armed and ready. So as an entrepreneur, you have to be armed and ready for any ideas that are hitting you. So when I speak to people, one of the most powerful sources of business ideas is sad people. Unhappy customers are a source of innovation. If you want to know what business to start, listen to unhappy customers. What are they complaining about? That is the key for value addition. Because there is a problem there, and there is money there. You see? So we have so many people complaining on social media about most of these companies, and all people do is just to join the complaining in the bandwagon. What an entrepreneur should be doing is saying, okay, people have a problem with this company, with this bank. How do I move in there, seize the opportunity and solve that problem? That's how we do it. I started one of my businesses when one of my friends came to me and they said, basically they were winding down one of their companies because they weren't doing well and they decided to sell their assets. I I looked at the business, I saw how they were doing in the past. I said, but this business, fine, you want to wind it down. But the past sales were enormous. Why don't we become partners? You see? He didn't bring it to me as a business idea, but from his complaint, from his challenge, I saw an opportunity. I said, all we need to do is let's recapitalize the business. I bring in the know-how, the administration, the management aspect. You have the experience in the business. If we can align or tie our abilities, we have a working business. That's it.
So what motivates you?
What motivates me? A desire for excellence. I think that it is a betrayal, not only to God, but also to you when you fail. Because God, our Maker, is a winner. He's a champion. He's excellent. Everything about God is amazing. And for Him to have created you, He endorsed His signature on you. Everybody that has an Apple or an iPhone, whatever device you have, the manufacturer endorses their signature. iPhone, they brand it. What they're saying is we are vouching on the ability of our product to perform. Some will even go to the extent of giving you a guarantee. God has guaranteed your excellence. He said, go into all the world and show them how to do it.
Great.
The biggest challenge for me, I always think it will be to stand before God and find out I didn't live up to the standards.
Mercy, Lord.
So I'm always running, trying to push, trying to make sure I accomplish what God has.
Amazing. So as we are closing this chapter, I would love to know. I mean, I don't think Africa or Malawi have really successful business people that we can say, okay, those can run the whole world. Like how Bill Gates is, or like the Elon, the Benzos. Why do you think we are not there yet? Or what can we do to run successful business in Malawi or Africa in general?
It's the response is simple but complex at the same time. We are too afraid of partnerships.
Yeah.
We are too afraid of partnerships because running a conglomerate to the level of let's just say Amazon, it's not just Jeff Bezos. It's an IPO. He listed the company on the stock exchange and solicited funding from everybody else. Same thing with Facebook. It's not just Mark Zuckerberg. That's an IPO. So to run a multinational company, you need financing that is rarely sitting with one person. You see, so you name it, Elon Musk, all those organizations that you're speaking of, they are either listed companies or they have shareholding of different entities. But in this part of the world, especially as black people in Malawi, we detest and despise partnership. But you can never build a strong business without partnering with other people. Because rarely are you going to find the capacities, what's needed to run a business in one person or within you. They all have our own gifting. Some are gifted with sales. Some have the privilege of having capital or finance. Some, they have a network. They know who to sell to. They know somebody in government. They know procurement people. So once you align the skills of 3 or 4 people together, then you have the potential to build a solid business.
Amazing. I think VIESON has a lot of things to tell us, and I promise I'll call him back soon to tell us more. I think I really want to know much about partnership, about collaboration. Why is it important when we talk about partnership in business? But before we close, I would love you VIESON, to tell us. I want you to tell me or to tell us 2 things. Do you have fears? Do you have strength? And after answering that, advice for our viewers. That will be in closing of this program. Yes.
Well, I'm always afraid of failure. It's the one thing that keeps me up awake at night. And if you're not afraid of failure, I don't think there's any chance for you to succeed in life. So that pushes me. I hear footsteps all the time behind. It's like somebody chasing me, so I have to go for more. I cannot stay stagnant. In terms of strengths, I would say my biggest strength is the presence of God in me. Greater is He who is in me than he who is in me. I wouldn't be able to do anything without Him. He gives us the ability, the strength, the wisdom, the intelligence, the foresight, and the vision to do whatever we need to do. I don't know. I think the last thing I would say to everybody is, as Jesus said, "You are the light of the world. Let your light so shine." Everybody has a gift that God placed in them. You are helping nobody by hiding or sitting on that gift. It's time for you to bring it out. Let the world see the light. Let the world see your gift, and let the world see your ability. Until then, I think we see you again.
See you at the top. Oh my goodness, thank you so much, VIESON, for coming. It's really humbling and it's an honor. It's a privilege to have you in this program.
Amen.
So, guys, we were with VIESON THAWANI.